G'day, it's Donna here from Australia, and we're up to part 3 of how to make the easiest, most beautiful pockets for your junk journals. Pocket number 1, book page pockets. Pocket number 2, corner tuck pocket. And number 3, we're doing a 4-fold pocket, and you can load them all up with anything you like. Now let's get started on part 3 of our pocket series. It is such an easy pocket. More than anything, I'm going to show you how to make it so you can add it to your ideas journal and make sure that you never forget how to make it. So all I'm using here is a plain piece of printed paper. All I'm doing is making sure it's facing the way I want it to, and I'm folding the flap over the top, and then I bring the bottom up to suit. You can do this on any size piece of paper as long as it fits in your journal. And then I'm just going to round the corners at the top, which is the flap. I've got this one ready, so I've got a scrap piece of broderie anglaise, and I'm going to glue that on it. But if you didn't have any scraps like that, use an old doily. I could use the whole part of this doily, or I could just cut the trim off. So I'm just going to go around and add some distress ink to the edge, and then I'm going to run a line of glue on the front of the pocket only, down either side, and then close it. Now I'm going to glue my lace trim down. I'm using the 𝗃𝗶𝗆 fabric glue here. I could use the 𝗵𝘀𝗆𝗆 glue, but it's a little wet and I don't want it to soak through this very fine fabric. So I'm just putting the glue behind the flower, and then I'm going to glue this right onto the front flap here. I've got a little bit hanging down, and that's what makes it look so pretty. Now I'm going to turn it over, and instead of putting the glue on my fabric, I'm going to eyeball it and put it on the paper. This way, I'm not going to have any of this glue push through the fabric. I spread it out with my finger, and this will ensure that it's not in glubs and blobs everywhere. When I lay my fabric down, I'm not going to press my fingers into it. I'm just going to be very gentle with it and use my non-stick bone folder. That's not going anywhere. It looks good on the back and it looks good on the front. You can make these in whatever size piece of paper you've got. This one here is a book page, and I've printed a grid pattern over the top. That video is coming, so I'll show you briefly how I've done it. I've just got my book page and I'm washi taping it to a clean sheet of A4 paper, and then I just go and put that in my printer and print the grid pattern on it. Like I said, this video is coming soon. Now I take the book page off the backing and I just fold it the same way I just showed you how. This time I'm going to put a lot more trim on it, and I'm going to add stitches to it. I'm just tacking the lace down at the top, and I'm only going to sew around the flap and across the top of the opening of the pocket. And I'm using some glue just to tack the pocket closed, and now I'm just going to duck off and sew all the way around the rest of the pocket. You can leave the threads on to make it tatty. And when I added this tissue paper to the bottom of the pocket here, I sewed it in at the top and the sides so it was a tuck spot, so I can pop anything I like in the front here. This one here, I'm using a printable from Rachel Bella Crafts. So I've just printed out my sheet, I've folded it over into the size pocket I want, and I've torn off a piece of this craft paper and add some little snippets and bits and pieces so I can make it like a snippet roll. But the difference is I'm not making a really large snippet roll, just enough to go across the pocket. And then I just stitch it down before I closed my pocket up and stitched the edges. And this way you've just got something a little interesting peeking out from underneath the front flap. All of these pockets were quick and easy to make. If you've got a machine, sew. If you don't like to sew, just glue them and decorate them however you want. Moving on to pocket number 2. This pocket can be, it's debatable. It could be a tuck and a journaling card, but you could glue it on 3 sides and it would then be a pocket as well. You can make it out of a book page, wallpaper, or you can even use scrapbook paper. I'm using scrapbook paper for my demo. It's white on the back and it's got a pre-marked line here. So I'm just going to cut it out on this pre-marked line, and the width of this line is 8 inches. So I'm going to make it an 8-inch square. To do that, I'm going to get my bottom corner and fold it up to the top line here. This here has to be a point. Make sure it's a perfect point. When you crease that diagonal, if it doesn't land properly at the top here, just shimmy it up a little bit and recrease it with your fingers. The bit on the right hand side here, I'm just going to cut off. Now we've got it as a diagonal, we're going to open it up and fold it in half, corner to corner. Put a crease in it, make them a good firm crease. Then open it up again and fold it the opposite side, corner to corner, and crease it across the middle. Now if you want your pattern side to show on the top, you've got to work upside down. So make sure your white side is facing you. Now to turn this into a cool fold, get the left hand corner and fold it over to the bottom right hand corner. Now get the center fold here and fold it towards the bottom left hand corner, and you should have a diagonal fold in the middle of your square here. Now get your top right hand corner and bring it down to the bottom right hand corner. Doing this step, you might get a bit of resistance here, so just get your finger and push it in here and drag it down that fold line, because you want these 2 diagonal lines here to meet each other at the bottom right hand corner. Perfect. Now get your bone folder and crease all around this little square so that all of your folds are nice and sharp. This will help give it a memory to open up like this. So you open it up, pull it closed back to the corner. Now you can use this as a tuck spot, a pocket, with a secret little journaling spot. I'm going to glue it down 2 sides here so I can use it as a tuck spot. I'm just putting a thin line on these 2 sides so I still get a lot of room in the back here to tuck things into. I'm not going to open it up yet because it's still wet, but I'm just going to lift it a little bit so I can use my bone folder. And look how much room I've got in the back here for a tuck spot. It's a bit springy, but it'll settle down once you've had your pages closed for a while. I'm going to use this pocket, which is one of the first ones I just made, just to show you how much room there is behind here. And just to show you a variation, I used a dictionary page to make this one. I've got some of these Webster dictionary pages available in my shop if you like them. They are a good strong paper. So if you think, why would I use a book page? I can't write on it. Just tuck a little scrap piece of paper in there for journaling on. Once you've put it in here, it'll just hold itself in place. But if you're worried that it keeps falling out, just glue it in the back here. But they look so cool, and they're a nice surprise when you lift them and open them up. I was inspired by my mum to make this pocket. I found one of these in her stash. I just love them. You've got pockets on one side, and if you flip it over, you could put some journaling pages in there. You can make them out of 𝗷𝗂𝗆𝗆 pages, which is the perfect paper weight for them. If you use cardstock that's a bit heavier, you'll find this 4-fold a little bit too thick. But if you use something that's a bit more paperish, like this stuff here, this is beautiful 𝗷𝗂𝗆𝗆 designer paper that was in my mum's stash as well. I'm going to use this. I'm going to show you how to make it using this, and you won't believe how easy it is. I'm going to turn the right hand side to the middle of the page and crease it. Then get the left hand side and fold it to the middle of the page and crease it. Then fold it back on itself so you get a bit of a concertina. It's a bit long, which is what I want, because I'm going to fold the bottom up and make it into a pocket. So I open it back up, and you just make it as tall as you want. I'm going to use my tag templates as a guide because I use my tag templates all the time. They don't just cut out tags, they are good for measuring. So I can put the template on my pocket and work out which size I want. There are 4 tag sizes in this set. So the width of your pocket is determined by the width of your paper page. So for this one here, I'm actually going to fold the top of the pocket down by 1/2 inch and 1 notch over. Fold the pocket up first and then fold this top piece back down. This works best if you've got a print on one side and a plain colour on the other side. What I'm also doing here is making sure that my pocket is deep enough to hold things in. Now I'm going to use stitches. You don't have to, you can use glue instead. But I put 2 rows of stitches across this fold line first to reinforce it. Then I come back and stitch down each fold line to separate the pockets. And then I go back and sew all around the edge. I didn't put a stitch across the bottom because that would have made my pocket shorter. So I want as much room as I can get in these little short pockets. You can see the difference here between the Edith Holden paper and the finer designer print paper. This one here is cardstock, and this is what I'm saying about the cardstock. It's a little bit thicker. So I didn't fold my pocket line down twice, I just folded it up. And this way you can still use it, it's not so bulky. I love it clamped onto the side of a page here. Again, once your book's closed for a while, this paper will settle down. Now let me show you how these tag templates work. You're not going to believe how easy they are to use. This is a scrap piece of cardstock. I just put my template down on the edge, bottom and side, and then just use the template as a ruler. I use a retractable craft knife and I just cut around the edge of the template. And look how quick and easy it is to cut around a tag. And what I also like to do is make my own hole reinforcers. I punch a 1/8 inch hole first in the center. Then I use a 1/2 inch circle cutter for the outside edge. Sometimes I like to keep my tags nice and simple. So all I'm doing here is using a 2mm wide gold paint pen. It's like a texter. And I'm just running along the edge of the tag here. It looks beautiful with this print and the colour purple. You can do it on both the front and the back of the tag and go around the edge of your pocket as well. I glued my hole reinforcers on the tags off camera. I put 2 with the print side up, and for the smaller tags I reversed the colour. It's not over embellished, it just looks so pretty like it is. And of course, like I said before, you can always add a few journaling pages in this crease line here. You can either put these in a pocket in your journal or just clip them off the side of a page here. Now make sure you pop one in your ideas journal because you'll want to use this one again and again. For this Edith Holden page pocket, because I use the same paper for the tags and the pocket, they blended in. So what I've done is I've cut my tags out, then I glued them to a piece of craft cardstock, and then cut them out with a little border around them. Once I'd done that, I thought, nah, they still look a bit plain, so I used my vintage style hole reinforcements and popped them up on the top and punched the hole out, and these don't even need a ribbon in them or a piece of string. We know what they're for, they're tags, they look all right just like this. But of course, if you're giving this as a gift, you might want to tie a piece of ribbon through the holes. Well, this was another one-day session. These were all easy to make. They're not overwhelming. You just make them up, either put them straight in your ideas journal or put them in your stash, all ready to go when you do make your journal. If you've come straight to this video and you didn't know, there is 3 videos. Video 1, there are these 3 pockets. You don't have to watch them in order. You can watch any video you like and make whichever pocket suits you. Make them all if you like. I'd love to see you join in, and happy crafting!